So what happens when a company totally damages itself in a way that it's hard to recover? It might not be recoverable. And what happens to those employees? Guys, welcome to the show presented by Americans for Prosperity, americansforprosperity.org, economic liberty and free speech. The people at Bud Light know that they have 100% screwed the pooch. The people at Bud Light know that they've got a problem that isn't going away anytime soon. And the problem that they've created on that executive level by partnering with Dylan Mulvaney, allowing politics to come into the place of a beer brand that is based on not giving a dang about politics. Well, this has had effects not only on those executives, but people really caught in the crossfire, caught in the middle, who did nothing wrong, but they work for Bud Light. And now they're having a problem finding their future because their futures are in question. Their jobs are in question. Now you have the people at Public Square. They are coming into this and they are saying, hey, we will help these people who were working at Bud Light find jobs if they're losing their jobs. Michael Seifert joins us right now. He is the CEO of Public Square, publicsq.com. Of course, when they went public, that was a very, very big deal. This marketplace that helps products and brands that you could say are on the political right. And this is a little bit different. You're not talking about, hey, come join the platform. You're discussing, hey, you're somebody who, for no fault of your own, is out of work. And we're going to help you get a job. What brought this about and how are you going to help?
Well, we are happy to help largely because these folks were caught in the crossfire of something that they had no control over. The CEO of Bud Light has screwed the pooch, as you properly stated. This guy is facing no repercussions. Brandon Whitworth, he's not having to take a downgrade of his salary. He's not getting terminated, even though he has abdicated responsibility completely and has refused to apologize no matter how many times he's been pushed on it for completely misjudging his consumer base. Now 350 employees had to be terminated from Bud Light. And we wanted to say, hey, if you're one of those employees that have faced the brunt of a decision you didn't get to make that has negatively affected your brand, then we'd love to help. We're actually going to connect you with the nation's largest marketplace network of patriotic small businesses that focus on excellence and meritocracy. They don't masquerade as progressive political organizations. And in turn, let's see if we can get you a job. So we were driven to help because we're so frustrated at watching this happen over and over and over again. These multinational corporations continue to sell out Americans. And it's really unfortunate when that hits literally the employees that had no decision over the matter.
Now, if you've never seen a Public Square, and full disclosure, I have no business relationship with Public Square. I am a fan, and eventually I may put businesses on the marketplace. I don't as of today, and I like to always make sure we're all clear about where I'm at. This is Public Square right here, and it's where you go and you can see how businesses are listed and put up there. And what you're saying is you're going to be able to utilize the marketplace itself to help these people get jobs. What's the plan?
Well, it's actually already working. That's exactly right. We basically gathered resumes. I wrote an open letter to back up even further to those 350 employees that were terminated. And I posted it on Twitter, or now X. And that letter, with no paid promotion or anything, it actually went viral. It had over 3 million views just within the first 72 hours. And my message was simple. If you're one of these folks that have been laid off, please reach out to us because we would love to pass on your resume to a freedom-loving employer that would love to take a look. And so many of the businesses within our network are hiring at the moment. So we put out this open letter, hoped that it would gain traction. And thankfully, we had more than a few of the actual terminated employees from Bud Light reach out, share their resumes with us. And we've passed those on. In fact, we've heard that a few of the folks that gave their resumes are actually in like the second or third stage of interview processes only a week and a half later with some of these companies. So we're really seeing this transfer in society of folks on the consumer side, the employee side, the investor side that are saying, I'm done with woke corporations. This stuff has become so insane. I am ready to embrace the core principles of the American economy again with an employer or a company or an investment arm that will match my values a love for country, Constitution, and the values that it protects. And that's exactly what we're trying to do here is conduct this transfer. And it's working. $27 billion drop in market cap from Anheuser-Busch. And meanwhile, the patriotic parallel economy is continuing to prosper. And
not just the drop in that, they sold off 10 brands, including Shock Top and a host of others. They are trying to figure out how to keep their capital opportune. Talking to Michael Seifert, he is the CEO of Public Square, publicsq.com. We see what the job market is. We certainly see layoffs from big tech companies, while we see also big tech companies being the reason why the S&P and the Dow is doing so well. 5 companies account for near 60% of the growth of the S&P. You're talking about the fact that in a week and a half, we'll call it 10 days for those of us playing the home game, Michael, that we have seen now multiple interviews with Bud Light employees. What is it about these companies? And can you name any of the companies that are engaged in actively doing these interviews? What is it about them that goes against what we're seeing in other parts of the economy? That where does their either desperation come from looking for employees or willingness to be able to write the check, the ability to write the check in this economy right now?
Well, they're growing. And they love America. Those are 2 really important pieces. The reason these businesses are able to hire right now, and we at Public Square are even hiring, is because we ultimately are seeing the ability to grow with this parallel patriotic economy that is emerging day in and day out. It's one of the fastest growing economies in the world. In fact, if you just look at election data from 2020 and you take the people that voted conservative in 2020 and you put some GDP numbers around that, the best estimates show that that accounts for about $7 trillion in GDP. $7 trillion in GDP is the 3rd largest economy in the world. It's bigger than India and Japan, and no major companies are speaking to this cohort. So if you're a business today that's willing to unashamedly say, we love America, we love the Constitution, and we're going to market toward that audience that feels that same way, 100+ million American adult consumers, you're going to see growth and success. And that's exactly what we've seen on our platform. So that's certainly a differentiator as to why these businesses are growing right now. And I'll obviously respect the privacy of these specific businesses that are in the hiring process. But what I will say is that they come from a wide variety of industries. You know, this is not just faceted to one sector of the economy. We're really seeing growth in this patriotic economy across multiple industry sectors, which I think is a sign of their resilience.
You used the term patriotic economy a couple times, and I'm not saying it isn't a good term. I want to kind of define it, delineate it, because there will be people who will say, well, look, I don't agree with Republicans on X, Y, or Z, but I consider myself a patriot. What to you and to Public Square delineates the patriotic economy, and what does it mean to market to the political right?
Well, I think it has to start with principles rather than political values. So I think it goes a lot deeper than just which political party you're affiliated with. Now, I do tend to think that the folks that are on the conservative side of the aisle generally these days have a greater love for country. They're not the ones kneeling for the anthem. They're not the ones that are protesting American statues and advocating for their removal of people like Abraham Lincoln. These are not the people on the American right. So we kind of have to all agree on a base principle that there's a group of folks in the United States today that are more conservative, more family value oriented, and they're not the ones that are trying to change the national anthem. These are the people that happen to have the most pride in waving the American flag, and they focus a lot more on July 4th than they do on Pride Month. And I think that that's an important differentiator, because when you see Bud Light do what it did, you're watching a company that historically has marketed to that pro-America, classic Americana audience that loved the Clydesdales and the American flags and the funny commercials. You're seeing them depart from that audience, actually call them fratty and outdated, to be specific, and then pivot toward this gender ideology nonsense that's more often associated with the American left. And so I think when we talk about patriotic businesses, we talk about businesses that want to go back to the basics, a love for country, a constitution, and the values that are embodied in that sacred document. And on top of that, these are businesses also that have not adopted or been co-opted by a DEI or ESG agenda. They focus on providing maximum value with excellence and meritocracy to their shareholders and their customers. That, to me, is classic American exceptionalism exercised in commerce.
Can you give me an idea of how many people from Bud Light have reached out, and have others reached out to say, wait a second, I don't work for Bud Light, but I could use a job. Here's my resume.
Yeah, that's happened a ton. It's interesting. When we put out the open letter, we got, just over a dozen resumes from the actual Bud Light people themselves. But we got scores more from people that are just wanting a job, and they're very curious about how they can actually get hired. And we've partnered with a great job board, actually, that we're in business with called Red Balloon. And so we're literally teaming up together to just connect all of these other prospective employees that have really nothing to do with Bud Light, but they're still looking for jobs in the freedom economy. We are actually helping them find relationships with new employers that will respect their values and aren't going to put them through diversity training every other Tuesday and make them go through struggle sessions about how detrimental the American economy is. People want to go back to the basics of capitalism, and that's certainly true for employees. I'll tell you this too, Tony. We have hired at Public Square employees from Target, Amazon, Yelp, these other big tech and commerce behemoths that are saying, guys, all we do now at those other corporate entities is talk about mental health days and feeling sorry for our skin color. Like, I'm done with it. I'm ready to innovate. I want to run. I want to feel like I'm actually doing something of purpose. Like, I have all these gifts. Let me run with them. And they're finding a home to do that in this new economy.
Talk to me about where Public Square is right now. Public Square, publicsq.com. You guys went public a couple months ago. Big day there on Wall Street. How has everything gone since then? How are we feeling about price? And talk about innovation. What's next for Public Square?
Well, we could not be happier. Actually, we just had our earnings call today, our first ever earnings call as a public company. And we were thrilled to announce that our user growth has been tremendous. Our business growth has been tremendous. Our revenue growth, first half of 2023 revenue, is up over 1,100% from first half of 2022. And our consumer members now eclipse 1.43 million on the platform that have actual membership accounts on the platform, over 65,000 business vendors, well over 95% of which are small businesses. So yeah, we couldn't be happier with the growth of this patriotic economy found embodied at Public Square. Where we're going next, though, is incredibly exciting. This fall, just in time for the Christmas shopping season, we're actually launching e-commerce. So we are actually bringing all the transactions on the platform in-house, one shopping cart, multiple vendors, seamless checkout experience. This moves us from that sort of Yelp competitor to a true Amazon competitor. And that's something that we can't wait for, especially when folks are more than ever wanting to shop their values in a digital environment.
But you're not doing shipping from a singular warehouse. People are still doing their individual shipping.
They're still doing their individual shipping. Yeah, there's differing opinions on that. Shopify just got rid of their fulfillment arm. They found that it wasn't very lucrative. They found that we can trust these businesses to handle fulfillment. Amazon has gone the other way. So, people have differing thoughts in it. Those are decisions we'll make as we move forward into the future. Yes, we're starting with having great relationships with the vendors on our platform that have fulfillment standards that they have to abide by, but ultimately that's on them.
Michael Seifert is his name. Public Square .com is where you can find him, publicsq.com. And if you're a Bud Light employee who's been squozing out because of the horrors that their marketing department put together, you can reach out to publicsq.com and they'll help you get a gig. Michael Seifert, I appreciate you taking the time to be with us. I'm Tony Katz, and I can't thank you enough for being here with us and being a part of the show. Don't forget to subscribe on Rumble. That's the thing to do. Subscribe on Rumble. Get that done right now. And of course, my thanks to my sponsor, AmericansForProsperity.org, economic liberty, free speech, AmericansForProsperity.org. I appreciate them, and I will catch you next time. Take care.